see how to build this beautiful building using Blender. So I open this new file, hit A to select all and then delete it. Shift A to add a plane. Yes, to increase this plane as much as possible. Before adding any further element, let's add a basic configuration. Activate the cavity and increase this to value, and then the type is both, and increase this to value again. Okay, so this point we are seeing here is a 3D cursor. Okay, this is a place where our elements will get add. So to control this one, we have an option here, which is a cursor. Click on this one, select this one, and wherever you are clicking, this cursor will be placed there. So we need to keep it at the geometric center, sorry, global center. Shift C. Shift C is to bring this cursor to the center of this region. Okay, now let's add a cube. Shift A, miss cube, then click on it. Okay, Shift C, then select this one, select this cube, hit G to grab this cube, and hit Z to move this cube on Z direction. In number keypad, hit 1 to bring it up. Okay, now let's increase its size in both Y and X direction. If you see here, this is a kind of a legendary. So the green color line here represent the Y axis, and the red color line here, this one is X axis. So the blue color line is representing the Z axis. In this workspace, blue color line will be mostly invisible, but green and red color means Y and X axis are always visible. Okay, let's increase this cube in both X and Y direction. So hit S to activate the size operation, the scale operation, and Shift Z to skip increasing this cube on Z direction. Now increase this cube. It's okay. Now let's scale this cube in Z direction. Hit S again to scale it, and Z. Okay, grab it, Z, and then bring this entire cube on top of the surface. Okay, fine. Now let's increase its size only in X direction. Looks good for me, but I like to increase its size only on Z direction furthermore. Grab it again by hitting Z, and then Z to move this cube in Z direction. Okay, perfect. Okay, then let's switch it to edit mode by hitting tab, Control R to add a loop cut. I like to have 3 loops. Double click to lock the position of this loop. Okay, now below the function key, we are having numbers in our keypad. If you hit 1, vertex selection will be activated. If you hit 2, edge selections will be activated. If you hit 3, face selection and face related functions will be activated. So as of now, I like to have edge operation. You can use the number 2 key operation, number 2 key, or you can use this option, this icon. Now select this loop, hit Z to grab it, hit Z, increase this one. Now in this direction, add a loop again, Control R, close this loop somewhat near to this edge, click to lock it, and then hit 3 to select a face. Now hit E to extrude. Okay. Now hit 2 again to select the edge. Select this complete edge. Likewise this side as well. Select this 2 edge. Now hit G to grab and Z to increase it in this direction. We are having a perfect slope now in this side, and both the side we have perfect loop. Now it's time to adjust this size. Select this edge, hit G to grab and Z to move this one in that direction. If you are not sure this edge is having a same level of this other 2 edge, you can activate the snap, activate edge and move. Ensure it is move option is selected. Now select this edge again and hit G to grab, then hit Z. Now bring it here. It means the move operation will be get locked whenever the cursor point reaches to some other edge. So my cursor point is reached this edge, so the selected edge in the middle got locked in this position. So if you see, it is perfectly in a same level. Okay then. Now hit 3 again to select the faces, and I reduce its size and increase a little bit. Okay, because of cursor point is moving to this edge, the face is going to that level, so we don't want that one, so snap can be disabled. Now do the process again. We extruded it already, so grab it by hitting G and then hit Z again, so increase it furthermore. I think it's perfect now. Hit I again, reduce it and hit S to scale it in Y axis. Scale it furthermore, then hit E to extrude it to this level, then hit 2 to select the edge, hit G to grab this edge and then Z to lock it in the direction. Okay, it's perfect now. Okay then now let's add doors and windows and steps. Okay, now let's add steps. Okay, shift A, sorry, we have to move object mode before adding any other element. Shift A and add a cube, grab it by hitting G and then X to lock the movement in X direction. Hit S and Z, scale it in Z direction. S and X, scale it in X direction. Okay, then grab it, G and X, grab and move it in Z direction. Bring it completely to the top above the surface. Now increase its size in Y direction. And hit tab to move to edit mode. Hit 3 to select a face, grab it in X direction. Something went wrong. Instead of grab, I hit extrude, grab it again, grab it, X, we are moving in X direction. Perfect. Then now select the top face, hit G, Z, move it down as much as possible, or we can do it in this way. Okay, I like to have steps in this height. Okay, then do a loop cut. Freeze the location of the loop. Select this cube. I don't know whether it will work or not. It's not working as I expected. So let's undo these changes. Let's reduce the size. First move to object mode and hit S and lock it in Y direction. Reduce the size in Y direction and reduce the size in X direction. Move it back, move it closer as much possible to the main building. Hit Z, size it, okay, size it down, grab it in Z direction. Perfect. Now move back to object mode, hit slash, forward slash to hide other elements in this screen. Hit to extrude, Z direction, select it, Alt E, and then along with normals extrude. Okay, this size is somewhat in side way, the steps is increased somewhat greater than the front way. So select this front face alone and grab it in X direction, increase the size. Now one more time, select the steps, extrude, Alt E, extrude along normal. Again, this one, select this alone, grab it in X direction. Okay, this is the steps I like to have. Hit backward slash forward slash again to bring all the hidden element. Now hit tab to back to the object mode. Bring it to the surface. Looks good for me. Then bring the cursor. Okay, we have used extrude option, so I'm not sure whether if you see this yellow dot, you can see this yellow dot, which is a pivot point. We call it as a pivot point. So the increasing size or movement and rotation, all this happen based on this pivot point, based on this point. We'll discuss about this in upcoming videos, but as of now, let's consider this point needs to be at the exact center of any element. Okay, so since we used a extrude and selected a face in edit mode and increased it to be just changed its face, because of that this pivot point is not in the exact middle point of this object. To bring this pivot point exact middle to this object, we can use this object, set origin to the center of mass. If you see, earlier the pivot point was here, now it is in this current location, it is center of the mass of this object. Now I like to add some pillar here in this two side of the steps. So what I can do is I can bring this cursor to this pivot point. To do that, shift S and then cursor to selected. If you do this one, cursor will be moved to the active element of our screen. Now let's add a cube again. Shift A, mesh cube. Now I like to reduce its size except Z direction. So hit S to scale it and shift Z to lock X and Y direction. Grab it, Z, bring it top of the step, grab it in Y direction, move it here, exactly here. Okay, size in Z direction is perfect, looks perfect for me, and grab it in X direction to bring closure to this one. Okay, now let's add some loop cut. Now hit tab to switch to edit mode, add a loop cut, Control R, bring it to the bottom. Now select the face of the pillar, hit S to size it down. It is not happening as per my expectation. So what shall I do? I'll select here this two, extrude, Alt E, and then extrude face along normals. Increase it. Okay, it looks fine for me, but even we need to do some other stuff like hit S and increase its size. Yeah, now it looks fine for me. Then select this face, like face inside here. Clicking this part is somewhat difficult, but okay, we somehow did it. E to extrude, Alt E along with normal. Now select these faces, not this one. Yeah, select these faces and Alt E, extrude along normal. Okay, it looks good for me. Okay then, select this one, grab it, Z, reduce its size, E to extrude, E to extrude, E to extrude, E to extrude. Okay. Okay, the idea here is I like to have some, bumpy surface here, like grab here in X direction, super, grab here, X direction, looks good, grab this edge in X direction, sorry, grab this edge in X direction, finally grab this one and in X direction. Okay, looks good for me. Hit tab to move back to object mode, shift D to duplicate this object, grab it in Y direction and move this one to this most. Okay, okay, now we have added a pillar perfectly. Okay then, now let's add an arch on top of this pillar. For that, we'll use the same cursor position, Shift A, mesh cube. One more time, hit S to scale it and X to scale it down in X direction, grab it and move it in Z direction. Okay, and I don't want this much big cube, so scale it in Z direction, scale it down actually, then grab it and bring it down in same Z direction. Now we need to scale it in Y direction a little bit to match its edge. Scale and Y, scale it in Y direction. Looks good, but it is not touching the building now, so grab it in X direction, bring it back. Okay, okay, just now I observed it is not touching to the pillar as well, so grab it in Z direction, bring it down. Now it is touching perfectly fine. Now again, I like to have some smooth surface, means bumpy surface in this arch as well, on top of this arch as well. So same we are going to do, hit a tab mode, select a face on a top, E to extrude, E to extrude, E to extrude. Okay, now okay, for a change we'll do like this, hit select a faces here and then enable this proportional and select this sphere. Now hit S, reduce the radius of this circle, scroll up will increase the size, scroll down will decrease the size of the circle. So if we decrease it, we'll be having some nice structure. Okay, now select this edge by hitting tool, select all these three edges, not this one, exactly this one, and then hit S, increase its size. Okay, now it's looking good. Okay, let's add actual arch. Let's add the actual arch now. So if you see, this yellow color point is the exact center, but I'm doubting whether it is an exact center or not. So we have to move our 3D cursor to the center of this block. Hit tab to move to edit mode and use object, set origin to the center of mass. Okay, it got a little bit upper. So now it is an exact center of the mass. Shift S to bring up these options. Cursor to selected. Now 3D cursor came here. Shift A and add the cylinder now. Yes, cylinder now. Rotate in Y direction. Hit R to have a rotation and lock it in Y direction. We have to move it to 90 degrees, so hit 90 in number pad, 90. Hit enter to lock it. Now reduce its size. First bring it down a little bit. Okay. Size, hit S to scale it. Enable the scale option and except X direction, I need to reduce it in both Z and Y direction. So shift plus X to ignore the X direction. Now we are scaling down only in both X and Y direction. We can move this cylinder a little bit higher, then scale it again except X direction. Okay, actually the arch is starting somewhere from here and ends somewhere here. Okay, it looks good for me. Now let's reduce its size in X direction. Scale it in X direction. Grab it in X direction. Okay, looks good for me. Now select this object, go to this modifier, click it, add modifier, select this boolean, and in this option select this filler icon. Now move on top of the cylinder object, click it. Now okay, this is a collection area. Whatever the elements or objects we are adding here, we can find from this selection area. So for example, if you select here, the first cube got selected. We can hide by clicking this icon. If it is disabled, that object will not be visible in this area. If it is enabled, that object will be visible in this area. So for the time being, I am disabling it. This second icon is for rendering. Rendering also I am disabling it for this icon. Okay, now it looks wonderful for me, perfect for me. We'll bring this cursor to center of this block. For that, shift S, cursor came here, shift A to bring this option again, add cube, bring it in X direction, reduce it except Z direction, so shift Z, reduce it. Okay, now bring it in Y direction, corner of this building, Z, grab X direction, somewhere else, grab Y direction, grab Z direction, grab Y direction, finally grab X direction. Yes, Finally we achieved. And now scale it back in Z direction, increase it, grab it, bring it to the top of the surface. Okay, now we'll move inside this, we'll move this cube inside, grab it, X direction, move it, grab Y direction, move inside. I think we could grab and move this block in X direction furthermore. Yeah, it looks good for me. Hit a tab to bring it in edit mode. Fine. Select the faces. Alt and click. So if you do one halt and click, this entire cycle will be selected. Alt E, extrude along the normal faces. Extrude it. Then similarly hit another loop cut at the top. Select all the faces. Alt click. Alt E, extrude along the normal faces. Perfect. It looks good for me. Now it's time to repeat the same in all other sides. Hit tab to bring the object mode again. Shift D, Y direction. Move it. Yes. Shift plus select to select these two pillars or blocks, I would say. Shift D, grab it in X direction, bring to the back side of this building. Yes, looks good. Okay, this is not a completed building. For keeping time in mind, I am closing this video. In next video, we'll see how to add a door, roof, and windows to this building, and we'll be adding some textures to this building, colorful textures to this building. Everything we'll see in the next video. If you want to share your feedback, please let me know your feedback in comment section, Instagram or Facebook. Thank you.